Hey everyone, it's RemanX here, and we're going to talk about something really important. And one thing I want to talk about is the word meta. And so right now, meta can mean a lot of things. And the endgame meta is something that's dramatically different than probably what the new player meta is. And I'm not an expert on the new player meta, and I try to avoid giving advice, but I will say generally this. The newer characters coming to the game and characters getting reworked, if you just start playing the game, they have a ton more value than they've ever had before. So characters like Sabretooth and Wolverine, as a new player, you may want to consider bringing them up, where in the past we've told you don't touch these characters. So let's talk about what that means. And so meta basically means the best team. There's different versions of how it's interpreted. But right now what we're seeing is the importance of raid characters. And so raid has surpassed the arena because of the fact you need a wider team, and the challenges and the rewards behind the endgame raids are significant in comparison. So this is going to talk about a overarching premise about how to level up characters, what characters to go for, and more importantly, what stars to go for on important characters. And we're going to start with the very basics. Stay tuned. I'm going to say some things that you may not always agree with. Some of them are going to hit different, because somebody who cares about you needs to tell you this right now. Stop chasing the meta. Yeah, you heard me, guys. Stop chasing the meta. Now, there's a difference between chasing the meta and jumping the meta, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the problem with chasing the meta is you'll never catch up. And the problem with that is from the time they're released to the time that they're widely available is just too long in Marvel Strike Force. By the time a meta team is available, it's usually around the second pass of the legendary. And so it's really early access that whales and krakens and the like are paying for in Marvel Strike Force. One thing that I think is of the utmost importance for you to understand, and it is unlike many other hero collectors on the market, you do not need a 7-star character in Marvel Strike Force to be successful. The one benefit of the After Silver Surfer meta, thank you, Mobile Gamer, for getting me in trouble with my wife when she asked me to spell the acronym. But the idea behind it is characters function at much lower stars and red stars than they've ever had before. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to compare your 3 red to somebody's 7 red, but it does mean, because the raid meta is more significant, that getting access to these characters are going to let you challenge some of the earlier content. So the number one question that's always asked is, what characters should I work on? And the answer I say is that's going to vary on your roster, where you are, where you want to be, and understanding what you need to do with your roster. And so one of the biggest things that happened recently was there was an uproar from the community, and mostly justified, about the War Store becoming crowded. And the outcry was pretty significant. But one thing I asked was whether or not people were bringing characters in the War Store to 7-star. And the surprising answer was yes. Now, I'm guilty of this. I'm showcasing characters at their maximum potential, doing the maximum amount of things they can do every day. But I don't think this is the most reasonable way to replicate it. The thing that I'm showing you, hopefully, is when things don't work at their maximum investment, you guys hard stop and go, you know what? If Rem can't make it work at 7 stars, 7 red, maybe, just maybe, it's not going to work the way that I thought it would. And that's been the goal of my content, not the content to show you, hey, get a 7-star, Cole Obsidian and you're going to win the game. It doesn't work like that. Getting a 7-star Cole Obsidian is mostly for EPing points. And what you're doing is all the characters that are being introduced, you're losing potential. And the idea is Black Order was largely used to fight Black Order in Arena, and more importantly on War, because your opponents who were daft were putting them on defense. And you're able to punch up 250k because the AI isn't smart. So there are going to be teams that come out that are going to need to have more stars. And the reason I'm going to say RemanX is one of them is because the team that they're going to beat for a long time is going to be that stupid Heroes for Hire team. That's very, very frustrating. And because the majority of them have been around, have been part of events, and have been featured in multiple different ways to acquire them, we're seeing larger defenses and lots of wins. Another team that we're going to talk about that is probably making people feel bad right now is going to be the New Warriors. And so one of the things about the New Warriors is I really feel like you need to figure out a way to get them to 3 stars. Now, one thing is the screw up that Boundless made sure that a lot more people could get them. Now, in the comments, I hope you guys can discuss this and talk about it. I don't have the right perspective to say exactly how to do it, but if you were able to get into the top, I think I want to say 60% plus of the blitzes, you were able to get a 3-star for each of them with the additional currency that we got, but you had to save it for the current character in the strike pass. So the reason why I say that is these characters are not only good in War, you can use them on offense or defense, they're also going to be essential to how you currently complete the Mystic nodes in the Doom Raid. But I can't tell you enough. You don't need them at high stars. People are doing 2.0 100% with only 3-star dagger and cloaks and a 4-star death pool. It's that much of a difference maker. And so more importantly, with the second pass of Adam Warlock, more people still have gotten the legendary, and using them on the node, he's a great option, but also Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer being in the raid store means over time you'll eventually accumulate a great character for the raid. And so right now there is a blitz for 2 key characters. And specifically, they're allowing you to get Jubilee and Adam Warlock. Right, Multiple Man and the ones announced in the blog, Multiple Man and the Pimtech Stature, the blitzes are actually part of a legendary unlock, is really good for the community. That being said, we still don't know about where the other secret Avengers are, although I will tell you that I'm glad that the last one they left out there was a campaign event character. So here's the deal. The most important characters that are accessible to everyone are in exactly this order. Campaign events. These campaign story events that feature like a character like Silver Samurai are typically the best acquisition method. Now, many times those orbs feature really good characters. This time happens to be a major exception to that. That being said, having enough cores accumulated from your daily gameplay to be able to buy the extra energy up into the 100s a third time, and potentially a couple of the orbs could potentially yield you a 5-star. The goal for anyone, anywhere, anytime is to figure out how to get your roster so you're always acquiring 5 stars. And so this leads me to the second one. The next one are called the Blitz event characters. And the Blitz event characters are when you're blitzing for a character and they have a Blitz milestone orb, or you get a portion of them in there. There's usually a Blitz event. And so that's going to be the Lady Deathstrike release. Previous to that was like Negasonic Teenage Warhead and others that fell into that same category. These characters are a little bit less generous, and so a lot of players, through consistent gameplay can get to a 4-star, it is nearly impossible to get to a 5-star without acquiring some of these orbs, which is why you have to have banked cores. The next method is Blitz. Now, Blitz has changed quite a bit. The Blitz rewards, while there is a better distribution in the bell in the middle, the higher distribution is lower. And so what's happened is they've definitely softened the curve, and you're getting more in the middle, but not as much at the top. So it's frustrated some of the people that blitz, but I think it was a side effect of the sim blitz system. That being said, if you enjoy blitzing, which, I don't think it's possible, then you can get a relatively easy 3 to 4-star and then core with the orbs, because a blitz character always has an orb available for 675 that features anywhere between 6 and 180 drops of the character. So you bank cores for that. And the last piece of the puzzle is finally the strike pass. And the strike pass is what I take the most issue with. And I think as a release method, it is the least player friendly. And the reason why I say that is, while there is a free path to get the 45 unlock with the single, and sometimes they're out for more, it is relatively difficult to get a 5-star. And so it's been kind of that barrier of entry, especially when characters are featured in the strike pass. The last 2 mythic characters, mythic legendaries, have revolved around strike pass releases. That being said, it's something you may want to take notice of in the future. Figuring out how to get those strike passes and finding a way to maximize the cores from there will probably be how you get those characters. But I want you to understand, the strike pass for Silver Surfer gave you a surfer that was able to crush a lot of the content. Was able to give you an edge on the Black Order, which was the arena meta at the time. And more importantly, it's still viable in the early Doom raids until you start pushing past Doom 2.0. So if you take anything from this, I want you to understand this game does not value characters above 6-star as much as we do when we look at the roster and want to fill those missing stars. The only time it comes into consideration is realistically when you're trying to push harder content, or when you're trying to unlock the last star of a legendary. But realistically, most characters that are released after Silver Surfer will function at 3-star, function 5 at 4, fine at 4, and are more than viable at 5. Remember, because I do things so you don't have to, I've definitely figured out which characters are probably not in the meta and the ones that you should avoid going forward. And that's been the ultimate goal of my content. Hope you guys like and subscribe and hang out for more videos. And we'll see you again soon. Love you much.